So it has now been passed. We now know that Trump's relief plan and his immigration policy plan has been passed by the House of Representatives by one single vote. Today we're going to go over what is actually in this bill and what this means to the American people moving forward. Good news is, if you were hoping this bill was going to pass, well, it looks like it's going to pass very quickly, because according to Speaker Mike Johnson, he wanted to get this bill passed by the 4th of July. This means we are actually a month ahead of schedule if this passes over the next week. Now again, still has to go to the Senate and it has to pass there, but according to reports, the Senate looks like a done deal. So we'll see. But let's get to the update for today. First, before I do, all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So let's get to the update. Look at this one. It says Republican-led House passes Trump agenda bill by a single vote. Now, let's read this, because again, it's important to understand where we're at and where we're headed. It says, a smiling Speaker Mike Johnson announced the massive measure passed by a single vote, 215 to 214, and was greeted with applause. He had struggled to get it done as he had promised by Memorial Day before lawmakers go on recess. Yeah, he wanted to get this done, and again, he did. The goal here, and just keep this in mind, some of this bill doesn't actually impact us yet because this bill actually extends the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's what many people don't realize, is that the July 4th date, that was simply just a made-up date. It's not like it had to be done by that point or else we lose benefits. No. And actually, by passing this bill, there's a chance we see benefits get reduced a little bit sooner. And I'll explain more on that in just a moment. But let's get to the next part. Look at this. It says House passes sweeping domestic policy package after Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson win over holdouts. One of the things that happened yesterday is President Trump met with multiple people in the White House, and he wanted to really get them on board with his plan. It looks like he did in some ways, but there's still going to be people pushing back in the Senate. He's just hoping it's not enough to actually kill the bill. Now, I want to read you this right here. It says, dubbed by Trump as the big, beautiful bill, the legislation extends the president's expiring tax cuts passed in 2017 and contains an infusion of money to expand the military and carry out his mass deportation plans. One of the things that has been slowing down the Trump administration from deporting hundreds of thousands of people is the fact that they don't have the money to do it. The other problem is the Trump administration was trying to make it where anybody that did a self-deportation, okay, they could have received like $1,000. They could have actually received money to self-deport. That's something that was a little bit concerning because where was that money coming from? There was no money appropriated for that. And so many people were wondering, well, how are we getting this? Is the money actually going to these people, or are they self-deporting and they get nothing? So they're being tricked into leaving the country. This bill, it also fulfills two of Trump's campaign promises, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime work. We talked about that just yesterday as well. Overtime work, yes, you will be able to get your income. It will be tax-free, but it will only be the overtime portion. Your initial wage is still going to be taxed at your normal rate. The overtime pay will actually be tax-free. So that's interesting there. As far as eliminating taxes on tips, again, another big one. And we talked about this just the other day, that the taxes on tips, it will be up to $25,000, and that is as long as you are making less than $160,000 per year. So there are some restrictions there. Says this bill also slashes spending in other areas, including hundreds of billions of dollars in cuts to Medicaid and supplemental nutrition assistance programs, while rescinding a series of clean energy tax credits passed by Democrats in 2022, and it raises the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. The $4 trillion raise to the debt ceiling, this has people all around the world extremely concerned. This is one of the reasons why the stock market is selling off. Okay? This is part of the issue is we are continuing to rack up more debt. We're not paying it down. That's what the deficit hawks wanted. But look at this right here. These are some of the cuts. It says parents and older Americans face work requirements for food assistance. It says House Republicans would reduce spending on food aid, what is known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, by about $267 billion over 10 years. It says states would shoulder the 5% benefit cost beginning in fiscal year 2028 and 75% of the administrative costs. Currently, states pay nothing, and the federal government pays the entire thing. It says Republicans are also expanding the work requirements to receive food aid under current law. Able-bodied adults without dependents must fulfill work requirements until they are 54. That would change under the bill to age 64, meaning able-bodied adults with no children, okay, you do not have any work requirements at the age of 55. At age 54, you still do. But they are going to increase that to now all able-bodied adults without children must fulfill these work requirements until the age of 64, right before they can collect Social Security. And then this is the big one. A new work requirement for Medicaid. This is something many people are very upset by, but they are trying to pay for the package and trying to bring down costs. It says the focal point of the package is nearly $700 billion in reduced spending in the Medicaid program. It says to be eligible for Medicaid, there would be a new community engagement requirement of at least 80 hours per month of work, education, or service for able-bodied adults without dependents. The new requirement would not kick in until January 1st, 2029, after President Trump leaves office. People would also have to verify their eligibility for the program twice a year, opposed to just one time per year. So, what does this mean? Well, this means it's coming closer and closer. This looks like it's going to pass. If this was going to be held up, it was likely going to be held up in the House of Representatives longer than it would be held up in the Senate. There are some Republican senators that say this will not pass, they will not agree to it, but it might not matter because there might only be a couple. So, we'll see moving forward, but big news out this morning is that yes, this bill did pass the House of Representatives. It will now head over to the Senate, where the Senate is expected to push this through as fast as possible. Again, the deadline, that their self-appointed deadline, is the 4th of July. However, it's likely that that's not going to be the case, simply because they want to get this done as soon as possible and have President Trump wants this as a win. So, we'll see, but as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as we get them. So again, thank you guys for watching, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.